Good evening, church. It's good to be here with you today. I have the third word coming out of John chapter 19, verses 26 and 27. When Jesus saw his mother there and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, "Woman, here is your son," and to the disciple, "Here is your mother." From that time on, this disciple took her into his home. I'm going to add a title for our sermonic discourse today: Community, Love, and the Cross. Community, Love, and the Cross. I was watching Chris Hayes on MSNBC a few months ago, and his opening segment looked at a Gallup poll that had been periodically polling the country since 1979. The poll asked these two basic questions: how satisfied are you with your personal life? And how satisfied are you with how things are going in the country? As of February 2022, the results of the country's personal satisfaction was 85%. That's the fourth highest that it's been in over a 40-year span. The satisfaction of how things are in the nation was a mere 17%. That's the lowest that it's been since the inception of this poll. In the midst of a pandemic, 85%. In the wake of an insurrection on the Capitol to delegitimize the black vote, 85%. Amidst the increasing rate of poverty, 85%. Businesses closing at record numbers as a result of this pandemic, and the personal satisfaction rate is 85%. That's 5 times higher than the satisfaction with how things are in the country. What a chilling view regarding the sense of community in this country. I'm satisfied because my personal interest is greater than my sense of duty to my fellow man. What a profound sense of selfishness, lack of regard for one another. We've promoted a culture of personal concern over the common good. What kind of an ethic do we share? So many people are hurting, but personally I'm satisfied. What kind of a shared responsibility do we have to one another? Dr. Eddie Glaude called this a fundamental rupture in the ways in which our democracy is working. Close to 1 million people dead due to a pandemic, homelessness, economic depravity, increased diagnosis of depression and high suicide rates. The effects of police brutality, where we no longer hang from the trees like Billie Holiday's Strange Fruit, but our blood sings the melancholic tones of the sorrow songs from the streets in our communities. And people are satisfied with their individual lives. What's worse is when we as the body of believers, the church, have no concern for those who are hurting. When we have an emotional detachment from one another. This is what Robert McCracken calls a suburban gospel, a diluted gospel that is contemplative and so inwardly focused that makes us feel good about our individual salvation, but divorces us from our fiduciary responsibilities to one another. Why am I raising this? Raise this because Jesus gives us a contrasting perspective to that narrative with this word. As Jesus is suspended on that Roman tool of capital punishment, he sees his mother standing at the foot of the cross. And he says to her, "Woman, here is your son," and to John, "Here is your mother." At the time of the crucifixion, Mary was a widow. Under the culture of patriarchy and at the foot of the Roman Empire, widows were vulnerable to the ills of society. They were the low rung of society. If not under the care of a man, a destitute future was inevitable. If I had the time, I'd tell you that not all the desolation that happens in our communities is as a result of life happening to us. No. It's the empire that has manufactured it against us. The flowing of resources away from our communities has created the pain of substandard school districts and food deserts in our communities. Look how Jesus responds to this narrative. Jesus, he ensures her care by shifting his family dynamics. Look at the new community structure that he forges, which really should be the paradigm for the church. Listen to the loving tone and intimate language that he uses. "Woman, here is your son. And to John, here is your mother. Is there anybody here who knows the pure and untainted love between a mother and her son? That's a special bond. Jesus is expressing to Mary and us today that even though society may want to throw you away and push you to the margins, I'm leaving you with an intimate love. A love that is secure and stable. That if we look at Jesus' actions here, we see the requisite characteristics for this new forged community. You see, a widow was to be given to her son. Jesus has brothers. John is Jesus' cousin, not his brother. So you've got to be asking yourself the question, why didn't he ensure Mary's care to her sons, his brothers? If you flip back to chapter 7, verse 5, you'll see that his brothers have rejected him and have not accepted him as Lord. Can we dig just a little deeper into this text? The good news of this text is that Jesus won't entrust your care to just anybody. It's those that love him that he will connect you to. Notice what draws Mary and John to the cross. It's their mutual love for Jesus. This kind of love for one another only exists when there's a deep and abiding love rooted in Jesus and his love for us that was demonstrated on the cross. The nature of this newly forged relationship carries significant theological meaning. When we are connected to others in this way, it's an expression of our zealous love for God. This brings up a relevant question at the time of the preaching. Can God trust you to be a good steward of someone else's pain? I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just asking the question. Can God be confident that when you handle his children, that you handle them with his love and his tenderness and his compassion? That the love and concern that we show for others is one way we honor God. It's a kind of mutual love that moves past human emotions to actions. This kind of love creates a symbiotic relationship between us, a mutually beneficial relationship. This kind of love is the kind of love that he wants for us. It's this kind of love that he desires for our lives, for our relationships. Love that makes you want to be there for somebody, to be present in a posture of service to another. That you become a conduit by which love flows through to others. When our love is rooted in Jesus, then we can flip this world upside down with a radical love and build a new community as the body of believers. I'm reminded of that great anthem of the Lord's church, that there is a fountain filled with blood drawn from Emmanuel's veins, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains. Since by faith I saw that stream, thy flowing womb supply. Redeeming love has been my theme and shall be till I die. Oh, child of God, I don't know about you, but when it's God's to call and mine to answer, and my soul has to move from this earthly tabernacle to resting on the gentle bosom of the Almighty God, may I stand before he who is the judge of the ages, counted among the righteous. And in that day, the Son of Man shall come in the clouds of heaven with great power and glory. And in all of his glory, all the angels will be with him. And he shall sit upon the throne of his glory, and all the nations will be gathered before him. And he shall separate them one from another. As a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats, and he'll put the sheep at his right hand and the goats at his left. Then the king shall say to those at his right hand, come, ye that are blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundations of the world. Then he'll say to those at his left hand, depart from me into the eternal lake of fire. For I was hungry, but did you give me meat? I was thirsty, but did you give me drink? Naked, but did you clothe me? In prison, did you come unto me? I was a stranger, but did you take me in? For as you've done it to the least of these, you've also done it to me. I want to be among those on his right hand, church. I don't know about you, but I want to be counted amongst the sheep. And then we shall join heaven's celestial choir and sing throughout eternity with the voice of triumph. All hail the power of Jesus Christ. Let angels prostrate fall. Bring forth the royal diadem and crown him. Crown him. Crown him. Lord of all.